Well, as much as Dems, the media, and especially Joe Biden would like the Hunter Biden story to go away, it ain't going away. New York Post bombshell story ignored by much of the mainstream American media, but not by much of the world media. This is from Australian Sky News.
But first tonight, in what could be a watershed moment in the US election, this week the New York Post splashed with news of a trove of emails detailing Joe Biden's son's business dealings overseas. The emails reveal Hunter Biden had planned to introduce his father, who was of course then vice president, to an executive at a Ukrainian energy company, Burisma, a company where Hunter served on the board of directors. Publicly, Biden has said he's never spoken to his son about his overseas business dealings. But these emails seem to indicate otherwise. In one message sent by Vadim Pozharsky in April 2015, he wrote, "Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and pleasure." Another message, also sent by Vadim in May 2014, asks Hunter for, and quote, advice on how you could use your influence to benefit the company. The emails and many more involving a Chinese energy company, which we will get into in the interview with Steve Bannon, were recovered from a laptop that was reportedly dropped off at a repair shop in Delaware in 2019 before it was handed over to the FBI. It was said to be a water-damaged MacBook Pro, and the person who dropped it off never paid for the service, and he didn't return to retrieve it or a hard drive on which the contents were stored. This is according to the shop owner, who said he repeatedly tried to contact the client. He says that on the laptop was a sticker from the Beau Biden Foundation, which was named after Hunter's late brother, the former AG of Delaware. On the hard drive are said to be text messages, videos, 25,000 photographs and 11,500 emails. Some are deeply personal and emotional, and others involve drug use and are quite incriminating for the Biden family. The owner of this repair shop in Biden's home state of Delaware says when he didn't hear back from the FBI, he made a copy of the hard drive and gave it, managed to find his way to Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Now, in the US, this has been quite a bombshell in the final leg of the presidential campaign, and not just because of the actual contents of the email, but because of the issue of censorship. Twitter has censored the New York Post story, claiming, with absolutely no proof, that the contents contained hacked material. The tech giant, of course, has allowed the spread of other stories that contain either hacked or illegally obtained material, like the president's tax returns or Melania Trump's phone calls, or even Julian Assange's many data dumps on WikiLeaks or Snowden's information. In censoring this story from a legitimate media outlet from the New York Post, Twitter is acting against the United States tradition enshrined in the Constitution of a free press.
Meanwhile, stateside, the New York Post story was a dud.
But the whole lock 'em up, false conspiracy theories against the Bidens really is stunning. I mean, he could be talking about the economy and making false claims about that, but, blame it on COVID. He could be talking about a Supreme Court nominee who is popular with his base and what they've done with the courts. Yet he's going after, these Rudy Giuliani created, false plots that we now have learned could well be tied to Russian intelligence, because Giuliani was wittingly or unwittingly meeting with Russian intelligence agents, people who've been designated by the U.S. government as such.
These right-wingers think at Wall Street Journal editorial page think they can lie through their teeth and talk about Facebook having problems and Twitter having problems with a story that even the New York Post knew was a lie. They knew it was such a lie.
We'll get to this, but okay.
That they put a woman's name on the story, reportedly, that didn't even know her name was going to be on the story. The man who wrote that story knew it was such a lie. The New York Post knew it was such a lie that he refused to put his name on that story.
Russian disinformation, that ain't what the Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, said. He says these emails are authentic.
This is exactly what I said I would stop when I became the Director of National Intelligence, and that's people using the intelligence community to leverage some political narrative. And in this case, apparently Chairman Schiff wants anything against his preferred political candidate to be deemed as not real, and is using the intelligence community, or attempting to use the intelligence community, to say there's nothing to see here. Don't drag the intelligence community into this. Hunter Biden's laptop is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign, and I think it's clear that the American people know that.
Now, Rudy Giuliani, I know he's Trump's lawyer, but that does not mean all of this stuff is false. He gave a description of what happened to the laptop that Hunter Biden dropped off that so offended some lab technician, he contacted the FBI, made a copy, and also contacted the Trump campaign.
We sat yesterday for 5 hours going through that hard drive, and I saw things on the hard drive that is overwhelmingly criminal. Oh. There are FARA violations. It's overwhelmingly.
I know it is, Bernie. This guy who was fixing it as a layman, he opened it up finally after hearing all this stuff on television, and he basically said, I wanted to vomit. I was sick.
So why isn't there an active investigation? Why haven't they gone after the people the people in the emails? Why aren't they subpoenaed? Where is the grand jury investigation?
Bernie, if you or I opened this and looked at it, the subpoenas would have gone out the next day.
Biden insists that nobody broke the law. Oh, really?
No, never. In fact, every one of those meetings is a violation of it. And as I said, they put Manafort in jail for it. Not too many other people, so why the hesitance to even investigate Hunter Biden for it? I mean, the violations are a matter of record right in the emails and the texts. He held the meetings. He never registered. They were on behalf of a foreign company. I mean, it's the biggest story here may very well be the corruption of our law enforcement system at the highest levels.
Why is this big news? Because Joe Biden has insisted and insisted and insisted he knew nothing about his son's businesses, and he knew nothing about his son's business associates, let alone ever met with any of them.
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
I don't know what he was doing. I know he was on the board. I found out he was on the board after he was on the board, and that was it. And there's nobody.
Well, you've had a lot of time. Isn't this something you want to get to the bottom of?
No, because I trust my son.
But that doesn't pass the smell test. Like when you're vice president, isn't there a higher standard? Don't you need to know what's happening with your family? Don't you need to put down some guardrails?
Unless there was something that was, there was something on its face that was wrong. There's nothing on its face that was wrong. So look, if you want to talk about problems, let's talk about Trump's family. I mean, come on, this is.
So
these guys are amazing.
So you think that everything that happened was kosher?
There's not one single bit of evidence, not one little tiny bit, to suggest anything done was wrong. You know that, but you keep asking me these questions. It's okay. You're doing what you have to do, but I'm not worried about it. Look, the American public knows me.
Last one on this. Say you're elected, you're in office. What guardrails would you have to be sure that your son, your brother Jimmy, doesn't do anything to trade on the family name?
They will not be engaged in any foreign business because of what's happened in this administration. No one's going to be seeking patents for things from China. No one's going to be engaged in that kind of thing.
So no foreign business for your relatives.
And remember how Joe Biden bragged about getting the Ukrainian prosecutor fired? The prosecutor that was investigating Burisma, on whose board Hunter Biden sat?
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Even the Biden campaign is not denying the authenticity of these emails.
You say it's unconfirmed. Tell us what parts are not true. I mean, Hunter Biden knows what emails he has and hasn't sent. Are you saying, in the campaign, saying that these emails aren't his?
It's unclear to me. I would say that what's so important right now from both the American citizen and the media, yourself included, Leland, is to continue to ask clarifying questions about this, why the FBI is investigating. But it's imperative to note that the NSA told Trump that Giuliani was being played by these emails.
But again, Jenna, the easiest thing in the world to do, stop with all the obfuscation. The easiest thing in the world to do would be to say these aren't Hunter Biden's emails. Nobody, including Hunter Biden and including the campaign, has said it. Listen to the one time Joe Biden was asked about this.
I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. It's right up your alley. They're the questions you always ask.
Noteworthy, that was a CBS reporter who was able to get that question in the one time that Joe Biden was available.
Leland,
hold on. Let me ask the question, Jenna. I'm going to ask the question, then you can respond. The question is this. I thought that demonizing the media was a threat to our democracy. Every time President Trump attacks the media, Democrats and yourself included can't wait to yell about that. Don't the American people deserve something better than the former vice president attacking the person who asks a legitimate question?
Well, I don't know if he attacked the person. I think he just said it was fake news. I'm sitting here
I think he said, saying to you, it's another smear campaign right up your alley. Those are the questions you always ask. That kind of sounds like an attack to me.
That doesn't strike me as an attack. I'm sure you can find some other. I'm sure you can find some other statements on behalf of the campaign that are specifically an attack, like what your other guest just said. That having conversations and working with the Chinese government is the same thing with working with the Nazi Party. Like, compare apples to apples for me on that.
Okay, the Chinese Communist Party has concentration camps. It was Joe Biden who was over trying to do business with the Chinese and brought Hunter Biden along with him to introduce him around. And there's video of that.
Man, that interview was brutal.
You
Leland,
think?
We've just lost 200,000 Americans because of a pandemic that was poorly controlled. So if you want to talk about the loss of life because of bad leadership, let's have that conversation.
I'm so confused. What's interesting is I feel like you still haven't answered the fundamental question, which is, can anyone say that these emails are inauthentic? And so far, I haven't heard anybody say that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't think anybody's saying they are inauthentic.
Let me ask you about. Let me turn it around. Let me do this. Hold on. Let me ask it like this. One of the biggest issues that Democrats have had and the former vice president have had with the Trump family was the emails that connected Donald Trump Jr. to Russians. Okay, there was an entire special counsel investigating that. Okay, there are now emails connecting Hunter Biden with both cutouts for the Ukrainian government and Russian intelligence, and with the Chinese Communist Party. Hold on. So hold on. Let me just ask the question. So should there be the same treatment? Should there be a special counsel? Because when there was an email from Don Jr., the left went crazy.
I think your point about having a special counsel is probably particularly responsible. I think it's a shame that we're spending so much time in taxpayer dollars.
Hold on. It's a shame It's a shame trying to figure out if the man who's going to be running for president of the United States and wants to be president, it's a shame to figure out whether or not there was 10% of a Chinese company put aside for him. That's a waste of time?
I'm happy to respond to you if you let me finish my sentence, which is, I have no problem with asking incredibly diligent, hard questions about any sort of news that comes out from any political party, whether it's my candidate or any other candidate that's raising their hand to lead this country. So I have no problem with it.
I guess, the problem isn't the questions, Jenna. The problem isn't the questions, it's the answers. We gave you equal time to Steve. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, you might ask, why would Joe Biden, a wealthy man, engage in these kinds of activities? Well, was he a wealthy man?
Yeah, listen, those occurred in 2017, if you believe the emails. So he had just left office. But remember, Joe Biden left office broke. If you look at his financial disclosure form in his last years in office, he had more debt, $500,000, $1.5 million in debt, and almost no assets. He needed to get rich quick, and he did, because he gets millions of dollars. I think $20 million he earns in his 2 years out of office. Yeah. Hunter Biden is probably at the center of that financial scheme, and we need to know the answer. I think Tom said it right. Joe Biden can answer these questions. Did you meet with the Chinese? Did you meet with Burisma? Did you take money from your son? These are simple yes-no questions. They don't take a lot of time to answer. Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, we now have two things that we're certain of, that Hunter Biden was following in the vapor trail of his father's vice presidential jet and collecting millions upon millions of dollars from foreign actors, many of them hostile to the United States, China, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. And we now know, thanks to the good work that Peter Schweitzer did today, there's a separate batch of emails, not the ones found on this hard drive in Delaware, but that were part of a co-defendant's trial. We have to remember Hunter Biden's business partner was as a convicted felon. He was tried and convicted in 2018, and they showed Joe Biden was directly assisting Hunter Biden's business deals, even meeting with some Chinese officials at the White House back in 2011. It's a quid pro quo going both ways. Joe Biden is helping out Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden is getting rich.
Can you just imagine what they'd be saying if this had anything to do with the Trump children? Now, you remember when Donald Trump got hammered after the New York Times revealed his income taxes? And apparently Donald Trump owes hundreds of millions of dollars to people. What did the critics say? Well, he's compromised. If he owes the money to the Chinese, they could manipulate him. What about all the goods apparently the Chinese and the Russians have on Hunter Biden? Maybe a President Joe Biden might be fearful that they might have something on him or his family. Could he be compromised? And remember the grief that Ivanka Trump got for allegedly pushing her products early on in the Trump administration?
Let's start with Ivanka Trump. She has taken some heat after her company appeared to be exploiting the election to make her money. They were promoting this $10,000 bracelet she wore on 60 Minutes. You see it right there. Matt Dowd back for more on this. And Matt, Ivanka's company forced to pull back that promotion, that email, pretty quickly.
The Associated Press is reporting Ivanka Trump secured 3 new exclusive trademarks in China the very same day she and her father, President Trump, had dinner with Chinese President Xi Jinping at Trump's private Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. The China trademarks give her company the exclusive rights to sell Ivanka-branded jewelry, bags, and spa services in China.
What would be Article 1, 2, and 3?
Well, I think number 1 is emoluments. I think it's always been emoluments. I think it's always been about that for me.
Mm-hmm. But now, this brings us to how big tech has been suppressing the New York Post story. Twitter, Facebook, Google. The New York Post couldn't even put on Twitter its own story. Don't believe me? How about left-wing Piers Morgan? He's not pleased with how the media has been treating this bombshell story. Here's what he wrote. 4 days ago, the New York Post published a bombshell report raising serious new questions about presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son Hunter's relationship with Ukrainian energy company Burisma. The story, which made startling and apparently damning reading, was based on a cache of emails and photos allegedly retrieved from Hunter Biden's laptop that he had left at a Delaware computer store. I have no idea if the report is entirely true, partly true, or incompletely true. But curiously, there has been no denial of the fact that these emails are genuine. Piers was just getting warmed up. The potentially most explosive part of the story is a 2015 email supposedly sent by a top Burisma advisor, thanking Hunter for giving him the chance to meet his dad, Joe, while he was vice president. Dear Hunter, the alleged email reads, thank you for inviting me to D.C. and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It really is an honor and pleasure. End of quote. Now, why is this a big deal? Quote, this is significant because Joe Biden has always vehemently denied ever even speaking to his son about his overseas business dealings. And then Piers weighs in on what big tech has done. Just hours after the Post story appeared, Facebook announced it would be limiting its spread on the social media platform while it used independent fact checkers to verify the paper's allegation. Even more extraordinarily, Twitter then summarily banned anyone from posting a link to the story, including the New York Post itself. By taking these unprecedented actions, the tech firms were effectively abandoning any pretense at protecting free speech or the First Amendment, end of quote. Again, can you imagine the outcry if any one of the Trump children had done a fraction of what Hunter Biden is alleged to have done? Now, this lady appears to be inflicted with a serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. Will there ever be a vaccine?
I don't know if you feel the way that I do, but I feel like we're living in an alternate universe here. That something has happened to the United States of America, and we're all grasping and trying to hold on to our democracy. I see what's going on in Texas. The vote is being repressed. This is evil. This is wrong. The Republicans have to stop. I'm terrified. Listen to me, Republicans. Listen. You are the people in history they warned us about. They warned us about people like you. Pay attention. We're losing our democracy. Wake up. Wake up!
Okay, if not a vaccine, how about some promising therapeutics? I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to say. I'll see you next time.